This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Marketing Geeks, come on, bring your friends. We'll learn marketing from distant lands. Andros Sturgeon and Justin Womack, fun will never end. It's Marketing Geeks. Marketing Geeks. So, man, here we are. It is day 798 of quarantine. I have run out of T-shirts because I ran out of toilet paper, about 7 months ago.
Well,
so
it's a new currency these days. You trade in toilet paper, man. The dollar is no longer worth anything. So,
yeah, might as well wipe your butt with that. But we are here still. As I've said, I think I actually had the C19 in November. Because I had a rattle in my chest, I was so sick, and then I had this rattle in my chest. Antibiotics did nothing for it, and the doctors had no idea what it was.
But to be devil's advocate, though, wouldn't it have spread if you had it, though?
Well, the ironic thing is that my son also got sick, and he lives in an area called North Brabant, and North Brabant is where they had the first major outbreak.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
it's possible.
There might be a connection there. I've been known to definitely change the balance of the universe a time or two. Did I ever tell you about the time? This is a true story. Did I ever tell you about the time that I killed any movies about people going to Mars for about a decade? I personally killed people going to Mars.
So it's like who killed the electric car, but you killed the Mars movies?
Yeah, and this is an absolutely true story. So there was a really terrible movie called Mission to Mars, and that had Gary Sinise.
Oh yeah.
And you remember that movie?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it had a fairly okay cast, but the movie was just terrible. And basically, it's about these astronauts that go to the Mars. The first ones to go to Mars, and when they get there, they find that the face on Mars is actually a giant temple. So spoiler alert, they go inside, and then Gary Sinise says that he's going to, they find a ship, and he's like, I'm going to get on that ship and find out where we came from. And so he goes to get on the ship, and as he's doing this monologue, the music behind him starts to swell up, and it's so cheesy, and the music is just not quite working. And I had been invited to a screening, and it was the press screening. And unbeknownst to me, Roger Ebert was sitting right behind me, right? And as the music's swelling up, I turn to my friend and I say, probably a little too loud, "Oh my God, he's going to sing." And everyone around me just loses it and starts cracking up. And would you believe it? A few days later, Roger Ebert actually mentions that on the show. He says, the movie was completely cheesy. In fact, one guy in the audience said that he could have sworn that Gary Sinise was going to start singing at a certain point. Cut to 3 or 4 years later, this is absolutely true. I have a friend of mine who's working for Jeffrey Katzenberg, right? And he goes into his office to deliver some scripts, and he overhears this conversation. And the conversation is them talking about doing a movie where they colonize Mars. And Jeffrey Katzenberg says, "No, we're not going to do any more Mars movies. That is off the table." And the other guy, who I was one of the top producers, he goes, "You know what? Mission to Mars was an anomaly, and we had that audience until that one guy said something about singing, and then it went all out the window." So,
So you put in motion an entire moratorium on Mars movies for a
that
decade.
was me.
Until was it Matt Damon or Elon Musk that brought back the Mars?
I think I don't know. I was out of Hollywood by that point. So yeah.
Well, Elon Musk made it cool again, and then Matt Damon made The Martian.
Yeah, that's true. And I actually haven't seen The Martian. It's like for some weird reason I've missed it, even though it's supposed to be great, right? But
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like being in quarantine, but on Mars. So yeah, man, we got some news items. But first of all, before we do any of that, I want to talk about the LinkedIn Mastery course. First of all, we mentioned in the last episode we would have a link in the description. We didn't do that. But by the time you hear my voice now, if you go to to Marketing Geeks Podcast, marketinggeekspodcast.com, there will be a little link there. I'm going to put it in right after this recording, so you'll see it, to pre-register for our LinkedIn Mastery Overview course, which is we've taught tens of people this course, you and I, and to businesses all over the area. And actually, technically, I taught this course here in the Netherlands a couple of times. So you could say we've taught it all over the world.
I actually gave a LinkedIn talk to AIG. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal, man. That's a relatively big company. Yeah.
That is a big company. May not exist in the next 6 months, but that's a whole other.
It may not. Yeah, but neither will another 10,000 companies. So
this is true. Which brings me to the importance of why you need a LinkedIn profile, because if you have a good LinkedIn profile, you can drum up business. And if as you once famously said, if you can generate fear in people, you can sell them things.
You can monetize it. Well, plus LinkedIn is still right now one of the best organic platforms for content too. So if you're putting out content, you're going to get a lot more reach on your LinkedIn profile than you will on Facebook.
Yeah, and so this is something that I'm passionate about, because people don't do LinkedIn correctly, and I think it starts by having a good LinkedIn profile. So we're going to teach this for free. I'm putting together. We're revamping the course. We're going to update it. It's going to be valuable to anybody who wants it, and again, it's going to be free for you. So just go to the website. You'll scroll down. You'll see a link, and then sign up for it, and you could pre-register at this point, or register if you're listening to this back in time, or in forward in the future, and I'm back in time. So all right, man, how about some news items?
Kick it off. What do you got?
Okay. Well, first of all, this is kind of interesting. Microsoft will have all events digital only until July 2021.
Yeah, Microsoft is a company that I think will survive this thing. They're legit. They've been around long, and they know how to pivot. Their newest CEO is doing a great job. He's revived the company that Microsoft took a dive for a while. They were really losing market share to Apple, and they've made a big comeback.
And they own LinkedIn. They own LinkedIn as well.
And they own LinkedIn. I actually kind of forgot that in the moment when I started saying that, but they do. Yes, they own LinkedIn. They bought them in 2016. When we created the course, they just bought LinkedIn, and it was like $26 billion, which who knows, maybe by the time everything's said and done, that'll be a bargain. That was cheap.
Well, this story comes from The Verge. Microsoft is planning to take all of its internal and external events digital only until July 2021 due to ongoing coronavirus pandemic. The software maker had already revealed Build 2020, due to be held in Seattle in May, would transform into a digital event. This digital-only focus is now extending far more events over the next year. This is just again one of these things where there was like you said, if you went into an event on just a few weeks ago, and when you came out of the event, it was a totally different world. It was like reality had shifted.
The day I left, I think, or the day before, was when they canceled South by Southwest. So that was the first sign that, okay, maybe this is more serious than I was realizing.
Right.
But it was still we were still pretty much business as usual at that point. And then like on day one or day two, it was day two, they canceled the NBA, which is, I mean, that's big. I mean, they canceled an entire sports league. That's a big deal. And then I think the day after that, or the same day, the stock market crashed and all hell started falling loose. But coming back to Microsoft real quick, I want to talk a little bit more about that, because not only do they own LinkedIn, they own Skype.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that they own Skype, and they've and I've been reading a lot about this. They've mismanaged Skype for a long time, and now they're sitting on a gold mine because if you've been watching, Zoom had a huge surge as the market crashed. They surged because Zoom is a video conferencing platform that's kind of more recent. But Microsoft has the software. They just need to update it and get it positioned better for businesses. Plus, they own Teamwork, which is a team management software for companies.
Yeah, and one of my clients has started to use it, so I'm using it too. And interestingly enough, a lot of people were using Zoom until it turned out that there was huge security flaws. So now a lot of companies are saying don't use Zoom. So Microsoft has a really good. So there's a stock if you want to invest in right now.
Long term, I'd say Microsoft is a safe bet long term.
Yeah.
I think Zoom's security concerns are probably overblown, and they're probably planted partially by Microsoft, but or by competitors. But Zoom has had they've had a few issues, and they've dropped about 30% in the last week. If you're listening to this live or around the time we release it, but I've been watching a lot of this stuff in the stock market, and the thing that scares me right now, Andros, is that the market this week has had a huge uptick. And I don't think it's warranted at this point. I think I would expect a slower uptick in the market. They're obviously banking on better news. I think they think the news is better than it really is. I don't think that we're coming out of this for a while. And I think the market thinks we're coming out of it in like a month or two.
I think it's definitely like people are like, okay, we've been in quarantine. Let's, get everything back, going, back to normal. But nothing is ever going to be normal. I mean, as soon as people start congregating again, there's going to be more hotspots, and so this is going to change everything. And again, as I've mentioned previously, I think some of these things are for the better. I mean, there are people now who are spending more time with their kids than they've ever spent, and there's also people who. Divorces are also way up, but that's good. I mean, getting out of a bad relationship is good. Don't.
You're just bringing things to light. So what you're forcing issues to light.
That's right. That's right. This has brought a lot of things to light. And if you refuse to look, this is the other thing that's brought to light. If you refuse to look at the reality of a situation, it's going to get you. I mean, Boris Johnson is now in intensive care because he was like, oh, there's no need to self-quarantine. I'm going to shake hands with COVID people. And cut to, it also brings up this other interesting conversation that has to do with the fact that if you are a person who thinks that the government should keep out of your business, well, there are times that the government is really needed. And this is one of them. But it also creates times like this creates a lot of crazy conspiracy theories and a lot of paranoia. Case in point, my next story is this is from The Verge. UK mobile carriers politely ask people to stop burning 5G towers. I like that. Well,
give some backstory there because people are burning 5G towers. So tell some backstory.
Okay, so the backstory, okay, we got to dig deep here. So there's a certain segment of population who believes that the 5G network is actually the thing that is causing the COVID virus, and that people are actually getting sick because they're installing the 5G towers, and that is the thing that's making people get ill. Right. So people are going a little nuts, and when they see 5G towers being installed, they either have been attacking the installers or they have burned down the towers because they don't trust the 5G. And it's here. Look, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm also not a conspiracy guy. I kind of go like this. There's things that they tell us and things that the far ends of the spectrum believe one way or another. But I would just say does somebody have an opportunity to make money and gain power in a situation like this? Yes. As the furthest I will go with a COVID conspiracy is it possible that China maybe released this to make the protesters stop in Hong Kong? And they thought that they could get a handle on it because they got a handle on the other, on SARS and some of the other diseases, and it just got out of hand. Maybe that's as far as I'll go. But is it a government conspiracy? Is it, to make Trump look bad? Is it, to put these 5G towers up? Is it to take away our rights? Oh man, people will take advantage of shit like that.
All they have correlational data. I mean, you're basing this on, yes, 5G towers went up around the same time. That's all you have. That's very circumstantial, and like, to be burning down towers and approaching it that way is not a rational thing to do.
Well, it's no. And according to The Verge, the top 4 UK mobile operators have issued joint statements asking for help to stop people burning 5G towers. Multiple cell towers were targeted in the UK last week in apparent arson attacks after online conspiracy theories have been falsely linking the spread of coronavirus pandemic to the rollout of 5G. There's no scientific evidence to suggest a link, but theories have been spreading wildly on social networks like Facebook and Nextdoor.
Well, and 5G conspiracy theories well ahead of coronavirus. I mean, I've been reading about these for years. People have been afraid of it. So this is, 5G's kind of been rolling out slowly, and coronavirus comes. So this is like people that have already been fearing 5G are just making the connection, even though the evidence is not there. Again.
Yeah. And there are things to worry about 5G. Like, for instance, can you control data in a way that basically will lock down information and erase it from the internet and track people? Like, that stuff, I could get behind being paranoid about that. But as far as like some of this other stuff, I mean, if you're getting your news from Facebook, please just stop. Really, really. That's all I can tell you. I don't have any other words of advice but that, So anyway,
what do you think? I mean, how long do you think we're in this? Because because this is affecting the world of business, affecting the world of marketing. I read today that advertising costs on the whole are down about 30% right now because the demand is down, because the budgets are being reallocated to other features. Although there is a pretty intriguing argument that now would be the time to double your spend because you're getting better bang for your buck, and you have less. Because of it, you have less competition and you have a chance to gain market share. However, at the same time, there also is a pullback in consumer spending, and that has I think we've only seen a fraction of the pullback, and we'll continue to see more and more pullback unless we're wrong and this ends suddenly, which I don't see that happening. No. I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to say it's not impossible. I see this being a prolonged thing. I mean, the worst case scenarios, I've heard people talk about like a new Great Depression. I hope it's not that bad, but it's going to be bad though.
Well, yeah, and I have a good friend of mine who works for a bank and they have a very big position in a bank. And they said that they're predicting that this is going to last at least until the end of the year, because even if it goes away, when people start congregating again, it's going to flare up again. This is something, until there's a full vaccine for this. Again, there's a conspiracy theory that the vaccine is really just to, mind control us with micro blood or whatever. But until there's a vaccine, this is going to be part of our reality for a little bit. And that said, it needed to be. We were moving too fast. The world was burning down. The oligarchs were basically robbing the complete countries. We need to change how we do business and how economies move. I think that there was, for instance, just the way that you look at Amazon and the way that Amazon treats their employees. My mother, before she died, I'm coming up on the 1-year anniversary of her death, and she had to get a job at Amazon, at an Amazon fulfillment center.
And you talked about it on the show when she was alive. You talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, 76. She and the drivers don't have insurance, like health insurance. We can't, and the way that we rely on China, most medications are coming out of China now, and the way that they're treating people, the way that they're they have concentration camps with, and some say even organ harvesting. That I don't know about.
Let's stop there for a second, because you said something interesting about China. 80% of all U.S. medications are manufactured in China.
Right.
80%. So if they were if they had a problem and had to shut down their manufacturing, we would be screwed. Plus, I think look at the masks. All of the masks are manufactured in China. So we're having a big issue there. And it's a huge wake up call to a lot of people that didn't realize that's like 100% of the masks, from my understanding. Like all the 3M manufacturers, all masks in China. So we don't even have a plant that's set up to manufacture them. So when we're in this kind of need, like, we're realizing suddenly that, oh crap, we don't even have the facilities to create these things on demand.
Exactly. And so as you said, it's bringing to light a lot of the stuff that needed to come to light. We needed to look at it. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm great, but I'm also, like everybody else, man, there's moments when I wake up in the middle of the night, like in a cold sweat, just staring at the ceiling going, oh my God, like what, but I will promise you this, as long as there's the internet, and as long as I have the ability to speak into a microphone, good people, the Marketing Geeks will stand. So
yes, we will survive this.
So in other news, YouTube plans Shorts. It's a YouTube app that is intended to rival TikTok. So I don't know if that's going to go over. So, but there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm so out of touch with TikTok still. I follow the company a bit, and I just don't go on there. I don't use the app. I'm not an expert in any means on TikTok. You're the guy that uses it much more than me. I get the concept. I just it's not my demographic. I don't know.
Oh, you would love it. It's an ADD paradise. It really is. It's like they have so much data on like what you're watching. They feed.
What's the time limit? Is it 15 seconds or 30
seconds? 60 seconds.
1 minute. Okay.
Yeah, and you really got to be creative to get attention on there. It's. I like it, but it's also a rabbit hole. And so I tend not to, Reddit is a big enough rabbit hole for me. So I try to limit my rabbit holes. But YouTube is currently planning Shorts. It's an answer to TikTok, and it's feature inside its existing mobile app. And the Shorts will include a feed of brief videos posted by users inside the Google-owned app, and will take advantage of the video service catalog of licensed music, songs from which they'll be available, soundtracks, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going to try and take on TikTok. I mean, it's smart. You pivot, you steal an idea. That's what the whole thing is about nowadays.
A lot of people are already on YouTube, and everybody's at home creating videos right now. So there's a lot of these YouTube creators are dropping like 3 videos a day right now, which makes sense because they're getting paid on it.
Right, but that's the other thing that I find very interesting is that a lot of people are just being creative. There's an explosion of creativity that I'm seeing, which I really love, and I think creativity is the thing that can get us out of a big mess. I mean, one of the other things that I really feel that the coronavirus has done is shown what happens when people work together to solve a problem. Like if we work together to solve the environmental issues the way that some countries are working together to solve COVID, man, we could do it. We could do it collectively as a species. And it's also showing how some countries, specifically the one I have come from previously and the one you're living in, is blocking innovation by saying, no, this has got to be for us. This is like this thing that we're doing has got to be only for us. And that's got to end, man. We're one species. We got to help each other. Like no matter where you see people, in pain and suffering, we have got to help each other.
So who do you see as like a company that you think can weather the storm and be creative, or who are a couple of the businesses that are out there that you feel like will get creative or have the infrastructure to kind of survive this, and they have less of the commercial real estate space, like less of that to deal with? The retail stores are in trouble right now, because they have to pay their lease unless they own the land, which very few do, and they might get a little bit of a break from the government, but they're in trouble. They were already in trouble, and this just amplifies. I mean, like I said, this amplifies problems that already existed, but for retail, this could be the end. for a lot of them.
Yeah, and I would actually submit that it's going to be more a matter of the companies, like after this is all over, there's going to be a lot of like, wait a minute, what were you doing during the coronavirus? How are you treating your people? So there's going to be a lot of like Monday morning quarterbacking. People are going to think about it and really like see how people behaved. But I think the question is more not who's going to survive, but who's going to be deemed irrelevant. Like, for instance, I think that Coca-Cola, for instance, people are going to start to realize like, man, more plastic comes out of Coca-Cola than any other company. Like, why are you relevant, right? And people will be more concerned about their health because the unhealthy people are the ones who are getting sick the most. I think that companies that are that had this kind of old paradigm, like if your whole business model was based upon an assumption that people would not pay attention to what you're doing, people are going to start paying attention and being a bit more mindful about stuff. Not only are people aware of social distancing, but people are going to be aware of like what's on the shelf, like where is this product coming from?
Yeah.
Like why, China, if China is responsible on some level for this and they were lying to people about the nature of this disease, why are we doing business with China? It doesn't make sense. So I think that there's going to be a lot of rethinking about how business is being done. And this is something that we've been preaching forever since the beginning of the show, which is like the integrity of your company and the way you do your advertising around that integrity is going to matter moving forward, like more than ever.
I 100% agree. And yeah, like you've mentioned several times, people will look back on this era and look at your behavior during the era. So one way or another, we come out of this. If your company survives, which my hope is that majority of companies will come out of this alive, but they're going to look back and be like, I'm only going to do business now with the companies that reached out, the companies that performed ethically during adversity. So like, how do you respond to adversity? Because usually that's what brings out true colors. Now, getting into the speculative side of like, because I asked you about companies that might be able to succeed during this. One industry that I see with a big upside is esports, because I'm seeing like ESPN, it's hilarious. Like I haven't really watched a lot of it, but I've been reading a little bit how they're doing like video game tournaments on there, and like the sportscasters have nothing to talk about, and they're just like forcing the issue with like whatever they can get on there. But but esports, that was already a growing industry, and it's 100% virtual, and people love their sports, and this is like a way of this is a virtual sport that people can have fan bases for, and it can kind of bring some unity that way. I see a big upside there, and I don't know if it's pure speculation or if it'll take off, but I see a big upside.
Yeah. Plus, you have a huge generation of young. Well, I'm going to say young males mostly. I'm generalizing, but it's mostly young males who, when this whole thing happened, they're like, "Oh, I don't have to go to school and I get to stay home all day and play video games." Fuck yeah, So,
and to clarify, just because not everyone knows what esports are, it's not just like sport video games. It's any video game, but you play competitively. So it's playing video games competitively. They call it esports. Yeah.
Now, in other news, this is from Financial Times. Elon Musk.
I know who he is.
Yeah, you heard of him? Well, look, one thing about Elon Musk is that he says a lot of things, and sometimes they seem kind of like way out there. Like, remember when the kids were trapped in the tunnel, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna build a submarine," and he like made a big deal about it, and then he ended up calling one of the rescuers a pedophile, which that wasn't a good move, Elon. But he said that he was going to create some ventilators that were built from parts from the Tesla factory. And so he got people to work, and he said that they actually put some ventilators together and delivered them. And so, love him or hate him, it's like that's a guy who actually took his factory, pivoted, and did something with it. And even if it was a way to gain publicity for himself, I think that moving forward, people are going to go, well, that guy did stand up when the chips were down.
It doesn't matter if it's for publicity or not, though, because he's actually saving human lives. I mean, so whether it doesn't really matter what the motive is at that point, in my opinion. I mean, it's like if it's between life and death, like whatever the motive, it doesn't matter. just make the products. He's one of the few people that have the U.S. manufacturing plants, like Tesla manufactures in the U.S. mostly. So he's got the facilities to do it. And he came out with the prototypes just recently. And I guess you said he shipped them now. So I'm very pleased that he's making an effort. He doesn't have to do that. It's not good for his business. He's not, I mean, he even said he's not charging any sort of profit on it. So he's just manufacturing them. I think he is charging cost, I would hope, that's fair, but he's getting them to all the facilities that need them. And we need a lot of them, from what I understand.
Yeah, exactly. And, as I record this right now, we're probably in the absolute worst week of this, because the thing is that it takes, once you get COVID-19, it takes several weeks for you to get worse. And
14 days are when your first symptom should appear within 14 days of infection. And then you have then it's like another 3 to 4 weeks once you actually show the first symptom.
Right. And in America, as we record this, there's now what is it, like
we're supposed to peak. We're supposed to have theoretically, if the models or whatever they're saying hold true, we're supposed to have our worst day on April 15th. And
well, let me tell you, for a lot of people, April 15th is a terrible day because that's tax day, but that's a whole other.
I think it was April 15th, around there. Though. I think about 2 weeks. But the point is, we've already passed the death toll in 9/11 cumulatively, and we're expected. I think they said it was going to be 5. They're expecting 5,000 deaths in a single day on whatever day it is. I think it's April 15th, and then from there, that's supposed to be the peak worst. If people shelter in place and stay home and social distance, the idea would be that then it should start dropping from there.
Yeah.
But that's right now. It's just a theoretical model, and we don't know for sure.
We don't know anything. And my heart really goes out to anybody who is sick right now, who has family members who are sick, and really, I every night I am just praying that people get better, and that the scientific community figures something out.
People that need vents, like you're going to be in ICU for a while if you need a ventilator.
Yeah.
And as somebody that was on a ventilator,
right?
The people that are in the ICU now, they're not allowed to have visitors. Like, that is rough. Because one of the reasons that I think I was able to survive was because I had my now wife, my girlfriend at the time, and my parents were visiting every single day. Like, they were there. And if I didn't have that, it would have been a much, much harder road. And so I can't even imagine what that's like.
Well, with every crisis comes opportunity. And of course, if you're Facebook, you'll find that opportunity. And that is exactly what they did. So because they saw so many people using Zoom and Skype, they have now developed a Messenger desktop app for group video calls and chats. Because what better way to reach out to your Aunt Edna, who's in isolation, than on Facebook?
The other apps that are very popular right now are Marco Polo, which my wife is using constantly. I've never used Marco Polo, but it's basically like walkie-talkie, but with videos. So you send a video message, send it back. They don't have to be live, but they can be live. And then House Party, which is another app I don't really use, but I've read it. I've downloaded it. I've kind of looked at it. It's like Zoom, but it's not really designed for business. It's designed for personal use more. But those, I'm surprised Facebook just didn't try to buy one of those companies.
Well, they've got a team of people, man. If they wanted to invent like a left nostril inhaler and do it in 3 days, they have the resources to do it.
Yeah, when they wanted Snapchat, they're like, we're not going to buy them. Or actually, they did try to buy them, and when they said no, they're like, we'll just copy all their features.
Yeah, they did it fast. But I mean, this is the type of thing that comparing Elon Musk to Mark Zuckerberg, it's like, you have every resource in the world. Are you doing anything to help this situation, or are you just looking for a way to make money off of it? And
Elon might get positive press, and that might have been part of the reason behind it, but he's not charging premiums on this. He's not making money off of it. And again, I don't care what the reason. If you're doing the right thing, just do the right thing.
Yeah, and if you're trying to make money off of this event, then there is a special place in hell for you. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll put a link to it in the show episode, because every show is going to have its own page. Yay, hopefully. But there was a great video passing around on Reddit of this preacher who was trying to blow away the coronavirus with his superpowers. And it's a guy who also wanted $300 million for his
Was it in Texas? Where was it?
Somewhere like that. And
one of those theatrical ones, like I think in the movie Borat, like one of those type of preachers.
Lights, camera, action preacher. And whatever. It's the guy looks like an evil ventriloquist dummy. But I'll post a video there. Finally, Reddit is introducing a new feature. They're introducing Reddit polls. It's an all new post type. So you can post a poll, which is, I don't know if anyone's going to use it, but
but it exists now.
It exists
now.
Yeah, and if you don't go to Reddit, if you've never been to Reddit, don't because it's such a deep rabbit hole, man. Like, I really,
we have a lot of time these days, so maybe go.
yeah, but I actually went for a run today. That was good. So I'm trying to stay healthy, but Iris was gracious enough to also order me two like the artesian peanut butters, like chocolate peanut butter and caramel sea salt peanut butter.
Who do you order them from?
There's like a place, like a company here in the Netherlands, and I went through both jars in like 3 days. And
I'm always looking at like where people are spending their money or how they're doing it right now, and because delivery companies are huge, they're up right now. Like all these companies that are doing delivery for groceries and things like that, they're all seeing a boom. Uber does have Uber Eats. I think the main Uber has struggled a bit, so they haven't really seen a huge spike. But they do own Uber Eats also, so they've had that business is keeping them afloat.
Yeah, no doubt.
But then even Amazon owns Whole Foods, and they've made a big effort to roll out the delivery of that much broader than it was. They had delivery available. Now it's much broader. And I know how you feel about Amazon, but these services that are coming on right now are like, how can you live in your home full time and never have to go out and survive? And it's just fascinating. I'm just paying attention to it all. So
yeah, and that's what the new world is going to look like. People are gonna want to stay home. We spend so much time traveling and commuting, and so much energy, so much pollution. And people are not going to want to do that. They're going to like, this is also like from a psychic perspective, like just like psychically. And I mean that, I don't mean that like in a woo-woo sense. I mean, like people are going to be having, even if they didn't get it, they're going to have PTSD from like the fear of this on a daily basis. So,
what's kind of interesting, like what you mentioned, like how people have kind of rescinded their homes and the environment is actually seeing a benefit from that. My wife showed me this a while back, but when Italy was having their peak, and they're finally on the decline as far as peak numbers go.
Thank God.
But my wife showed me a picture of Venice, and like there were dolphins in the area where all the what are those boats called? I'm like blanking on their name right now.
The gondolas.
The gondolas. Where all the gondolas were, there were like dolphins in there, and the water was clear, and it was crazy to see like how quickly it had restored to like its natural state, because there wasn't a ton of commercial business going on there, and people weren't littering in there, and like, so it was clear water and dolphins. That's different.
Yeah. And that's been very interesting too, because we now have a window into how quickly the environment came back. I just read another story about how by 2030, renewables will be cheaper than gas and coal. And so, you were telling me what businesses, you were asking me what businesses will survive. Well, if you're like renewable, if you're, people are going to want companies that really reach out and help. And if you can find a way to, if you're in business right now, or you're working for a company that can pivot in a way that really offers something and helps people during this time, that's meaningful, because there's two competing schools of thought. And I think one of the problems in America overall, if I can, get political here, but one of the problems is that we have a culture that is kind of like, well, we don't want healthcare for all, because if I'm really rich, I don't want the same healthcare that the janitor has. And if the janitor has the same healthcare as me, or someone who's an immigrant has the same healthcare as me, I want better healthcare. And that
I don't want to wait in line and those kind of things.
Yeah, I want. It's about this tiered system. Like, I want my stuff, and I shouldn't have to wait around for it, because it's the same thing with like organic food. Like, rich people love organic food. Poor people can't really afford organic food. But, if I eat organic food, I don't really need, there is a school of thought. I know people like this. that if I'm eating organic food and I'm eating well, I don't need vaccinations. Vaccinations are for poor people who have the poor food. And it's really this kind of like, I've got mine, I don't want anyone else. I would rather die than give my health care to someone who's undeserving.
As someone that works a lot in the seminar industry, I meet a lot of those people that are very anti-vax because there's a lot of very strong holistic practitioners that believe all medicine, not just vaccines, but all medicine you should not be taking because you can heal yourself with food and you can heal yourself with nature. So that's more widespread than you might think.
I know how widespread it is, and it terrifies me. I mean, I just went into Facebook. I mentioned this a few episodes ago. I went into Facebook just to check on my friends, and that's all I saw was like there was three types of people. There's the wacky conspiracy people on the right, the left conspiracy people that's like, you don't really have an illness; it's all in your mind, and the people who are arguing with them with both those sides. and as I've said before, you know what they call alternative medicine that works? Medicine. So,
well, let's. I want to talk a little bit about just global warming in general because it's an interesting topic, regardless of where you stand on it. If there's there are definitely one school of thought that said going into last year that we have 12 years to do something about it, or it'll be beyond our control at that point, and then things will start spiraling fully out of control, and we will have started the clock to our doomsday. We might be forced to slow that down a bit now because there's less cars on the road. I don't know, I don't know what the carbon emission numbers look like right now, so I'm just saying this from a pure outsider looking into what's happening and seeing, like in Italy, the water clearing up and things like that. I'm curious as to what kind of if we see a drop in temperatures for the first time or something, in the next 6 months, if we remain inside that long, or like if there's any sort of impact, or if that would take like a much longer period of time to make that impact too. But I'm curious to see what happens from all this in regards to those, the worst case scenarios were very bad. So,
well, it reminds me of a story that my martial arts teacher told me. And it was this young boy who heard of this guru who lived, way up in the hills. And the guru always knew what people were thinking, knew before they do anything. That's what made her like the master martial artist. And so this clever little boy decided that he was going to challenge whether or not this guru actually knew what they were doing, if they really were all powerful, all omnipotent, could figure out people's moves before they did it. So he took a bird and put it in his hand, and he walked up the hill to the guru's house, and there the guru was meditating. And the child decided that if the guru knew that the bird was dead or alive, this would be the telling thing. He would know for sure. And what he was going to do is if the guru said the bird is alive in your hand, then he would kill the bird. And if he said that the bird was dead, then he would open his hand and the bird would be alive. So that was going to be the proof. So he went up there and he saw the guru meditating and said, "Guru, I have a bird in my hand, and you must tell me, is it dead or alive?" And the guru said, the bird is in your hands, and what you do with it is up to you. So that is your choice. And the point being that we have an opportunity as a species to look at what's been brought to light, and we can choose whether or not we're going to go back to business. Like after the financial crisis of 2006, everything went back to normal. In fact, they removed a lot of the safety net that they put there so it wouldn't happen again.
2008.
Or 2008, sorry. And we can go back to normal, and then the Amazon will start burning, things, global warming will continue. Or we can choose to do everything differently. We have that opportunity now. And this is the most pivotal moment in human history, I think.
I think you might be right. And it presents a unique opportunity that I didn't think we would have. Like, I didn't think that the governments would be able to respond to the idea of reducing carbon emissions, things like that. I didn't think that would ever be possible, but given the circumstances now, it's happening, being forced to happen. So it's an interesting time, and we have an opportunity now that this is kind of we're reinforcing this behavior. We have an opportunity to actually make those adjustments that we have theorized on that seemed like long shots. They might not seem like long shots anymore to make some of these changes to our lifestyles.
Well, again, the whole, like I said, the whole world is coming together on a lot of the world is coming together to try and conquer this simultaneously. And the governments that are refusing to help other governments are not helping the situation. So I'm just hoping that people in general will come together and go, you know what, we need to collectively work together to solve issues like hunger, which kills way more people than the coronavirus ever did and is solvable, right?
Now, have you followed this? This is a very weird, bizarre story that is under the radar. In Africa, there is a huge swarm of locusts that have swarmed onto Africa, and they're eating the crops, and it's like billions. It's like 3 billion last time I checked, and that was weeks ago, and they multiply quick. Is that going to be a threat? Because I mean, these things have domino effects. Like, Africa might seem like a place that's not going to impact us here at home, but I mean, their locusts destroy crops, and 3 billion of them. They're going to destroy a ton of crops over there. They're likely going to get into other countries in that continent. I mean, like they can hop right over to Europe and get into the Middle East.
It's partly it's an environmental issue also. I mean, imagine like dealing with food insecurity and coronavirus simultaneously.
I was Googling this. You should look it up. This locust plague, because it's fascinating. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is this has happened before. And at one point, China, they deployed an army of ducks, which I never heard that there was an army of ducks, but China had an army of like 100,000 ducks. And I didn't even know ducks eat locusts, but apparently they do. And so you got to find this video. It's hilarious. Like they have this army of ducks that goes, they all like lined up and march out to go attack the locusts. It's quite a brawl.
Just so you know, an army of ducks won't march. They goose step.
Oh, they goose step. Good call.
Yeah. So but you know, all of these things can be solved if we work together. And and yes, that's happening. But look, we got to deal with one horseman of the apocalypse at a time.
One more thing I got to mention, because this is fascinating. I don't think I brought this up on the show. Do you remember psychic Sylvia Browne? You remember her from the 90s and early 2000s? I think she died 5-10 years ago. So they've recently unearthed this from one of her books. I don't remember what book it is, but I just pulled it up on my website. I'm going to read it. This comes from one of her books. I think it was written in 2008, I believe. But the year 2020 will see more people than ever wearing surgical masks and rubber gloves in public, inspired by an outbreak of a severe pneumonia-like illness that attacks both the lungs and the bronchial tubes and is ruthlessly resistant to treatment. This illness will be particularly baffling in that after causing a winter of absolute panic, it will seem to vanish completely until 10 years later, before it reappears. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. That came in one of her books back in 2008, and she actually mentions the year 2020 specifically. So coincidence, or is she an all-powerful psychic?
No, I think even a stop clock is right twice a day.
I would agree, because I know that she's made a ton of other predictions that were completely wrong. And one point she tried to help, I think, like a murder case, and did more harm than good too. So
I worked at a telephone psychic line, and I will tell that story another time.
Yeah, they were all real. They were all real and powerful.
When I would do tarot readings over the phone, and that was an interesting time. So all right, man. Well, another fine episode of the Marketing Geeks.
What does all this have to do with business? It just does, because whatever happens in the world impacts us as business owners and marketers. So
and you know what? If people are afraid, there's an opportunity to market to people. How is that? What did you say? God, it was so brilliant.
I think it was. See, I don't even remember what I said. But I say these things. I don't remember. I don't write them down. if you could create fear, you can monetize it, something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
But
it.
like, let's not do that right now. I mean, the fear is already out there. Let's try to be a little bit ethical here, because there's enough predators out there.
And once again, people, listen, we talk about scary stuff here, but we're going to get through this. We will get through this. There is another side to this. And again, it depends on how we interact. I hope that we can all choose to really be a different type of culture. And I've said this before, as Mr. Rogers said, Fred Rogers, he said, when I was a little boy and I was afraid, people would be freaking out, and I would be afraid watching something on TV. And my mother would say, but look at all the people who are helping. Look at all the helpers. And so for those of you who are choosing to help during this time, just keep doing it. And let's change the energy of everything.
And we expand what we pay attention to. So if you're paying attention to the negative, you're going to expand the negative in your life. If you're paying attention to the people helping other people, you'll expand that feeling of helping others. So it's great. Well,
and so we're going to help you. So once again, go to marketinggeekspodcast.com, click on the link that says LinkedIn Mastery Course, and we will give you the free LinkedIn Mastery course.
It's legendary. Legendary.
Yeah, people will talk about it in 10 years and won't make any more Mars films. So, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, Andros Sturgeon,
Justin Womack,
we are the Marketing Geeks, and we are out.
Stay classy.